Check, 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 check. Check, 1, 2. Check. Check, check, check. Good morning, everyone. Shana Tova to all of you. Happy 5783. We're about to get started here for our Rosh Hashanah morning service. Pleasure to have all of you with us in the sanctuary. Bruchim Habayim, welcome to all of you, and hello and Shana Tova to all of you who are watching the live stream. We're also so glad that you're with us on this beautiful morning. I'm Rabbi Matt Berger. I'm joined on the beam with both of our soloists, Allison Rosoff and Michelle Koenigsberg, and down at the piano, our accompanist Joy Katzen-Guthrie. Hopefully you all brought in a copy of the gold Mishkan HaNefesh, dwelling place of the soul, or the Nefesh. We are going to begin our Shacharit Rosh Hashanah morning services on page 109. Feel free with the English responses to join right in. You'll find them in large print on the screens. I have awakened again, and I give thanks. Before me, the blessing of this day, a feast of choices and possibilities. And the breath within me says, great is your faithfulness. You offer me another chance. You offer me life. This day, I am created to create this day. On page 110, you'll find the words of Ma Tovu, found in the book of Numbers. How beautiful are your tents, Yaakov, your dwelling places, Yisrael.
Mishkin
Let's continue on page 112, a prayer for study and reflection. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, supreme power of the universe. You sanctify our lives with mitzvot and give us the sacred obligation of learning and living Torah. And we'll continue on page 121, a prayer for our bodies, giving thanks. You have taught us, guard yourselves well. Take good care of your lives. Your word calls to us. Do not harm yourself. Do not weaken or exhaust yourself. In gratitude for the gift of our bodies, we pray for a year of renewed health and replenished strength. May caring for our bodies become our daily practice. May we be attentive to our need for proper food, sleep, and exercise. Let no injury come to others through our acts or failure to act. But let our mitzvah be this, to build a just society in which care is a birthright and the blessing of health the responsibility of all. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. We praise you, Holy One, for wondrous acts of creation and healing. Let's turn now to page 136. A reading about the shofar, which we'll hear very, very soon. Shofar, the voice of community. Feel free to join me if you'd like. Blessed are we, blessed our gathering, as we open our hearts to the voice of the shofar. Happy are we who hear its call to return, the sacred trumpet of Teshuvah. Blessed are we held close by an ancient sound that echoes L'dor Vador from generation to generation. Happy are we rising to the joyful cry of a new year. Blessed are we who hear in these blasts of sound the voice of community. Happy are we who know its embrace, its season of celebration, its quest for connection and purpose. Holy is the gift of community. Blessing is this gift of belonging. My pleasure to invite Larry Lieberman, our Baltikia, for this Rosh Hashanah morning. As we continue on page 137. Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the divine abounds everywhere and dwells in everything. Its faces are infinite, its source suffuses all. The many are one. Please rise as we hear the sound of the shofar. Tekiah, Shivarim Trua, Tekiah, Yashikoa.
Beautiful.
You can feel free to be seated. Blessed is the soul-reaching sound of the shofar. It proclaims the purpose of this day. Blessed is community, source of joy, solace, and strength to every living soul. Continue on page 141, the words of Chatzi Kaddish, the half Kaddish praise.
Yitadash. Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Yisman Karif, Imeru, Amen. Lakesh Mirabam Yivarach, Leolam U'amei Amayah, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, Yitpa'ar v'yiroman v'yitnasei, v'yinadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shmei Kedusha, B'richu, Le'ela u'le'ela, min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbachata v'nechemata,
We rise now for Shema and its blessings, beginning with the Baruch Hu, the call to prayer. We'll continue on page 145, a selection from the poet Thoreau. The morning wind forever blows, the poem of creation is uninterrupted, but few are the ears that hear it. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hamorot, Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the cosmic lights. On the following page at the bottom, the translation of the Ha'erinenu, may learning your Torah light up our eyes, may our hearts embrace your mitzvot. Unite us in love and reverence for you, that we may never feel ashamed of our deeds.
תורתך, ודבק לבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, והערננו לתורתך, ודבק לבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך.
Continue with the prayer of love, Ahava Rabbah on page 148. Bring us in peace from the four corners of the earth. Lead us with upright pride to the land that is ours. For you are a God of miracles and wonders. From all the peoples of the earth you sought us out and brought us near to your great enduring truth. So with love we acknowledge and proclaim that you are one. Baruch atah Adonai habocher bi'amo Yisrael bi'ahava. Our praise to you, Adonai. You have singled out your people Israel with love. To be seated. We'll continue with the V'ahavta. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, mind, and soul on pages 152 and 3. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh Asher Anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha bebeitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uvshokbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam le'ot yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uktabtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'isharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Let's continue on 157. Love God with your mind. Stay curious, open to questions. Marvel at the wonder of what is. Love God with your heart. Stay alive to suffering and joy. Yearn for the world that could be. Love God with your strength. Open your hands and give. Work for the sake of what ought to be. Continue with our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha, who is like you, on page 164. Continue with the closing words, the Chatimah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael, blessed are you and our lives, eternal one, who redeemed Israel. We rise now for our standing prayers, the words of the Tefillah, which begin on page 66. God, open up our lips.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agita hilatecha. 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 אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מחכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא עולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך מלך מימית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה מי כמוך אל הרחמים זוכר יצורף לחיים ברחמים ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Feel free to be seated. Continue now with one of the more powerful prayers of the Rosh Hashanah liturgy on page 175, an introduction to Unatana Tokef. Let us embrace the day and its holiness, for this day is a throne of goodness and power. Join me. When the people of Israel do God's will, they strengthen God's power on high. But when the people of Israel fail to do God's will, they weaken, if one might say it, God's great power on high. So let this day recall your power and ours. Let it remind us of our promises kept and broken as we remind you of yours. Let this day be a throne of forgiveness, for today we are the accountants of our souls, the navigators of our hearts seeking wholeness and new direction. And we seek you through signs of your presence in the arc of sacred history. I make this covenant not with you alone, but with those who are standing here with us this day, and with those who are not. God of ages past and future, God of this day, as you are with our mothers and fathers, be with us as well.
Unatane tokef kudushat hayom ki hu nora vayom uvotina sei malachutecha v'chol bechesed kisecha v'teshev alav be'emet.
Please join me on 176. And so a great shofar will cry Tekiah. A still, small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you like sheep before their shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock, when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life, You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments.
Rosh Hashanah yikatevun, uvium som kippur yikatemun. Rosh Hashanah yikatevun, uvium som kippur yikatemun.
Continue on 179. On Rosh Hashanah, we plunge like swimmers into a sea of words. On Yom Kippur, the sea rises, then crests, and we emerge, sealed by the wax, warmed by the fire, a braided candle. The new year is like a trailhead, opening wide before us. The day of fasting, narrow, breathless, so quick to close. We contemplate a new year, and this we know. Some of us will live, and some of us will die. Some will die young and some very old, some by water and some by fire, some by sword and some by beast, some by hunger and some by thirst, some by plague and some by earthquake, some by stoning and some by strangling. Some of us will feel at ease, some will be restless, some will have peace of mind, some will have strife. Some will be tranquil, some will be tormented. Some will be raised high, some will be brought low. Some will have riches, some will be impoverished. On page 180, but through return to the Most High, the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree.
Utashuva, utafila, utsidaka, mavirinet ro, axera.
Continuing on 182, we who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. Let's rise now for the words of the Kiddushah, words of holiness, on page 184.
Nikadesh, 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 Shimacha ba'olam, Nikadesh, Shimacha ba'olam, Keshem shimakti shimoto bish meimorom, kakatuv v'yad niviecha, v'charazeh v'yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech ha'aretz kimoto. Adir, adirenu, adir, adirenu, Adonai
seated. Let's continue on page 199, an introduction to Malchuyot, the voice of sovereignty. According to Rabbah, the Holy One said, on Rosh Hashanah, recite before me words of Malchuyot, sovereignty, Zichronot, remembrance, and Shofarot. Sovereignty so that you may acknowledge me as ruler over you, remembrance so that remembrances of you may rise up favorably before me. And how shall all of this be accomplished? Through the sounds of the shofar. At this time, it's my pleasure to call forward Maya Herman and Nicole Skalka to open the Ark. And we will continue with the Great Aleinu that is found on page 202 in your prayer books, Words of Adoration. I'll ask you to rise as the Ark is open.
Aleinu l'shabeach. L'adon hakol, l'teit gedulah, l'yotzer v'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo semanu k'mishbechot ha'adamah. Shelo sem kelkeinu kahem. L'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anaknu ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Be seated. We'll continue now on page 205, an introduction to the sounding of the shofar. Dwell on each sound of the shofar, contemplate its meaning. Tekiah, one whole note. Shavarim Truah, 3 broken notes, 9 staccato notes. Tekiah, 1 whole note. My return to the right path has the power to make me whole again. Tekiah, once I was whole. Shvarim Truah, in the wear and tear of living, I became broken and shattered. Tekiah, my teshuvah is the power to make me whole once again. I'll invite Larry Lieberman to join us on the bima, and I'll ask all of us to rise for the shofar blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, summoning us to hear the sound of the shofar. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time. Tikiyah, Shivarim Truah, Tikiyah, Tikiyah, Shivarim, Tikiyah, Tikiyah, Truah, Tikiyah. Yashikoa, feel free to be seated. We've got a ringer, folks. Continuing on 207, Hayom Harat Olam, today the world is born anew. This day the whole of creation stands before you to be judged. As we are your children, love us in the way of mothers and fathers. As we are yours in service, guide us by the light of your justice, grace, and holiness.
Hareshet Sfatinu Ye'erav lefanecha Erav v'nisa Rav v'nisa Me'evin u'mahazin Ma'abeit u'makshiv L'kol Tikiyatenu U'tkabel b'rachamim uvratzon B'rachamim uvratzon Seder Machilteinu.
Let the wishes of our lips, our heart's desire, be pleasing before you, God Most High. You are knowing and attentive, watchful and aware when we call out Tikiyah. Lovingly, favorably receive our prayers of sovereignty of Malchuyot. Continue now on page 213, a poem by Patricia Winters. Giver of life and all good gifts, grant us also wisdom to use only what we need, courage to trust your bounty, imagination to preserve our resources, determination to deny frivolous excess, and inspiration to sustain through temptation. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha u'hana'eh lekodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. Continue on the following page with the priestly benediction. Know God's blessings of shelter and care. May it be so. May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace. May it be so. May you see God's favor and goodness, and may you partake of God's peace. May it be so. Sim Shalom, our prayer of peace, is found on 216.
Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, Chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, v'yakov yiresh lamecha. Sim shalom, sim shalom.
Let the pursuit of peace and justice be our highest good, and may all people make peace their responsibility. Let Torah be a light that guides our lives towards empathy and understanding, toward generosity of heart. Let peace be our passion, chief among our prayers, every season of the year, every hour of the day. Baruch atah Adonai, Osei HaShalom. You are the Blessed One, eternal source of shalom. So we take these moments for our own thoughts and private reflections.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amicha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amicha. Tasim shalom le'olam, ki ata umelech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Rav, Al Yisrael Amicha. Shalom Rav, Rav, Al Yisrael Amicha. V'tov b'einei Orech et amecha Yisrael v'chol leit v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav, Sefer Chaim Rechav v'Shalom u'farnesa tova, nitzachev v'nikatev lefanecha. Anachnu v'chol amcha b'Yisrael
Now my pleasure to call forward to open the Aron Kodesh for Avinu Malkeinu, Tom and Dorsey Rose, and our two Torah holders, who can feel free to come up to the bima as well, are Jonathan Katzef and Mike Skalka. You'll find the words to Avinu Malkeinu on page 224. And Abby Katzef can meet us as the processional is going around. She will be undressing the mantle and other Klei Kodesh ritual. Oh, she's not here. Avinu Malkeinu, we stand in awe, we draw close in love. Avinu Malkeinu, the power that passes through us and pervades all things. Avinu Malkeinu, the divine that is present within us and among us. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, we speak this sacred truth aloud. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha, we stand as one, accountable for our sins. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu ve'al Olaleinu v'tzapenu. We yearn for true compassion for our children most of all. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Dever v'chera v'ra'av me'aleinu. May we resist the ravages of illness, fear, and despair. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei kol tsar umasin me'aleinu. Let us summon courage to withstand our enemies. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim. Let the goodness of this gift of life be engraved upon our hearts. Avinu Malkeinu hadesh aleinu shana tova. May we taste anew the sweetness of each day. Avinu Malkeinu malei yadeinu mibirchotecha. Let us wake up to the blessings already in our grasp. Avinu Malkeinu chonenu va'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. However small our deeds, let us see their power to heal. May we save lives through compassion, generosity, and justice.
Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu v'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu v'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu v'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim.
We remain standing for Seder Kriyat Torah, the Torah service, which begins on page 228, the attributes of God. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet. Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha v'Chata'ah v'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, השמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, ונתנשא לכל ראש. ושלושה דברים, ושלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם
I told them it was going to take a long time because I, like to say hello to everybody. All right, so we are about to read the Torah, a very special Torah portion this morning, which is the Akedah, or the binding of Isaac, talking about tremendous faith that Abraham had in God, that his precious son would ultimately be safe, and that Abraham wouldn't have to make that ultimate sacrifice. We have two readers for the Torah, and our first reader, proud to call forward our former religious school educator, Gail Miller, to come forward. It's wonderful to see her. Our first Aliyah La Torah, my pleasure to call up Kara and Maya Herman. Kara's been doing a wonderful job in our temple office, and always good to appreciate all the work that she does. And their Hebrew names, Tamdu Lavi Bat Sarita Liam Bat Abraham Vesara La Aliyah La Torah.
Baruch et Adonai HaMavorach. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Vayehi achar hadvarim ha'eleh, v'ha'Elohim nisa et Avraham, vayomer elav Avraham, vayomer hineni, vayomer kach na et binecha, et yachadecha, asher ahavta et Yitzchak, v'lech lecha el eretz hamoriah, v'ha'alehu sham leolah al echad ha'arim, asher omer elecha, v'yashkem Avraham baboker v'yachavosh et Chamoro, vayikach et sheni ne'arav ito ve'et Yitzchak bino, v'yaveka etzi olav vayikam vayelech el hamakom asher amer lo ha'Elohim, v'yom hashlishi v'yaseh Avraham et einav, v'yereh et hamakom Merachok vayomer Avraham el ne'arav, shevu lechem po am hachamor ve'ani ve'hanar, nelcha al ko, v'nishtachaveh v'neshuva elechem. Vayikach Avraham et etzi ha'olav, vayasem al Yitzchak bino, vayikach biyado et ha'esh, ve'et hama'achelet v'yalchu shenehem yachto vayomer Yitzchak el Avraham, avi vayomer hineni b'nei vayomer hine, ha'esh ha'etzim ve'ayi hasem leolah, vayomer Avraham Elohim, yireh lo haseh leolah b'nei v'yalchu shenehem yachto, v'yavo el hamakom asher Omer lo ha'Elohim. Did I skip a line? V'yavein shem Avraham. I think I missed him. All right, here. Yeah, Elohim. V'yavein shem Avraham et Amizbeach. I think that's where I stopped last time. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Let's all say Yasher Koach to Gail for a beautiful reading. And Gail, I've been meaning to give this to you. I've had it for quite a while. It is just a small token from our congregation in appreciation of all the years you lovingly cared for our students, and it truly was a blessing that I was able to work with you as well during my first year or so. So on behalf of the temple, I'll read it for you because there's no way that you can read it at home. Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh Bazeh. This is a quote from the Talmud, which means we're all responsible for one another. And Gail, you certainly lived up to this mitzvah of Klal Yisrael and continuing the beautiful traditions of Judaism. And I thank you so much.
Toda Rabah, it truly was a gift that I was, I never called it a job. Everybody knows that. It was part of my life. It will always be embedded in my heart. And this temple truly is, I don't really call it a second home. It's just another home of mine. So I thank you all. It's truly a blessing. It was my blessing. It was a blessing that I could be a part of all your lives. I hope, children, your grandchildren, and all the adults. So I really appreciate everything, and I just love this temple, love this congregation, and thank you so much, Rabbi Matt. You're a blessing. Thank you.
Are those your glasses? With the Torah still out before us, we have the opportunity to offer a special blessing for those who are in need of healing. And you'll find the words of Misha Berach on the screen. They're also on page 245 in your prayer books as we call to mind and to heart those who are in need of strength at this time. Yonatan Reuven Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Norma Bloomberg Van Ness, Babs Brown, Manuel Cruz, Lillian Epstein, Evelyn Edelman, Rob Edelman, Augusto Ferreira, Harry Fleisch, John Friedman, Denise Freifeld, Mitchell Freifeld, Sidel Freifeld, Leah Gottlieb, Norman Kelton, Mike Lieberman, Arnold Miller, Melissa Miller, William Miller, Priscilla Nathanson, Michael Ranzino, Rabbi Avram Reifer, Kelly Diana Rain, Miriam Richmond, Hal Rosenberg, Stephanie Ross, Dennis Schulman, Jeff Stark, Jen Swan, Sharon Worster, and Sophia Young. If there are any other names to add, feel free.
My father, George Stark. Misheberach avotenu mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who
Right next to me is Jim Roberts. He was on the video the last two high holidays, so it's great to see him in the flesh, as it were. For our Aliyah, this is a special Aliyah. My pleasure to call forward anyone, alumni who are bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah at this congregation. So that could be kids, but also adults, because we have a number of adult b'nai mitzvah as well. So if you became a bar or bat mitzvah at this congregation, either as a kid, a teenager, or an adult, feel free to come forward and recite the Aliyah blessings. Great to see all of you here. What a fabulous crew. It is great to see all of you here. What a blessing to have a full bima like this. You can, if you don't have a prayer book, it's on page 240, I believe, or you can also look sideways at the screen, and you'll be able to see that as well. So I'll give you a countdown so we can start it together. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Adonai Hambarach. Couldn't help myself, sorry.
Amen. Vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim. Vayomer Avraham. Vayomer hineni. Vayomer al tishlach yadcha el hana'ar. Ve'al taslo me'uma. Ki ata yadati. Ki yireh Elohim ata. V'lo chasachta. Et pincha et yechidcha mimeni. Vayisa Avraham et einav. Vayar v'hine ayil. Achar nechaz basvach bekarnav. Vayelech Avraham. Vayikach et ha'ayil. V'yalehu le'olah tachat beno. Vayikra Avraham. Shem hamakom ahu Adonai yireh. Asher yamer hayom b'har Adonai yira'eh. Vayikra malach Adonai el Avraham shenid min hashamayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein atzorah. Let's say Yasher Koach to Jim and to all of our B'nai Mitzvah. What an honor to share the bima with each and every one of you.
I gotta go the other way. All right, I'll go with you. Yeah, you take her down. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Good to see you. Amen to everybody.
Great to see my son Avi up here too. Pleasure to call forward Steve Koenigsberg. He's going to read an adaptation of the translation of the Akedah.
God decided to give Abraham a test to see if he would obey everything that was commanded of him. So God said to Abraham, "Hey, Abraham, I'll be right here, ready, willing, and able," snapped Abraham, standing at attention. So God said, "Take your son." "Which son?" "God, I have two, Ishmael and Isaac. I want to do just as you say." "Your only son." "Which only son, God?" "Ishmael is his mother's only son. Isaac is his mother's only son, the one you love." "Well," Abraham said slowly, not quite standing at attention, "I love both of them." God sighed. "Isaac, I mean," said God. Abraham replied slowly, this time, and said, "All right, what do I have to do?" God said quietly, "Take him to the mountain, some 3 days away, and bring him to the top of the mountain and leave him there. Give him to me." Abraham swallowed it. It was on the tip of his tongue to argue. But Abraham had learned at Sodom and Gomorrah that bargaining with God tends to make things longer rather than shorter. So they went to the mountain, and Abraham and Isaac hiked up the path together. Isaac was full of curiosity, and Abraham full of dread, which is curiosity without the fun. Neither one knew what lay ahead. When they reached the top of the mountain, Abraham made a base of wood, on top of which was an altar, and tied to that altar was Isaac. And Abraham stretched out his hand, and he took the carving knife he'd brought in his hand in order to kill his son. Just then, just at the moment before the carving knife arced downwards towards his precious son, a voice rang out, "Hey, Abraham." Abraham spun around, his heart in his throat, going dizzy with fear and the wildest of hope, of relief. "I'm right here," he gasped out. "I'm ready, willing, and able." "Don't hurt the boy. Instead, you'll find a ram caught in the bush. Why not slaughter that here and offer some of it to God? And in the meantime, share a special meal with your son. Just remember that this is a special place, a place whither you followed God's voice, and you found you could make the journey and come home safely. This place is called Insight."
And that very place, which is called Insight, that is right on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, just atop where the Western Wall or the Kotel stands today. For the honors of Hagba and Galila, it's my honor to call for Daniel Lipman. He'll be lifting the Torah, and Nicole Skalka to dress the Torah. You helped us before to undress, so if you could, please help us to redress the Torah. I'll ask all of us to rise as the Torah is lifted. This is a challenging one because most of the weight is on the left side.
וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל. אבי אדוני ביד משה. יא לי 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 לי. יא la la la, יא la 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 la, יא la 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 la. וזאת
You'll find an introduction to the Haftarah on page 248 in your prayer books. My honor to call forward to chant the Haftarah blessings, Ellen Weiss, and to read the selection from Samuel Elaine Wolstein, also our longtime educator as well. Hayom Harat Olam, today the world is born anew. These words recited after the shofar is sounded underscore a central theme of Rosh Hashanah, creation and the renewal of life. The traditional Torah reading for the first day of Rosh Hashanah accentuates the message. Genesis 21 tells the end of Sarah's barrenness and the birth of Isaac, and the Haftarah chosen by our sages for the first day of Rosh Hashanah recounts the story of a barren woman whose prayers are answered by the birth of a child. Hannah, a woman of deep piety and spiritual grace, presents a model of heartfelt prayer and integrity that contrasts sharply with the behavior of Eli, the high priest. Hannah cries out to God in bitterness of spirit, marata nefesh, and she's given life. Like her, we come together on Rosh Hashanah to seek renewed life and hope, to pray that we might transcend our pain and transform our lives. You'll find the words of the Haftarah blessing, the opening blessing on page 247, and the closing blessing on 259.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar binviim tovim v'ratzav v'divrahem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'Nviei ha'emet b'tzedek.
Vayehi ish echad min haramatayim sofi mehar Ephraim u'shmo Elkanah ben Yeroham ben Elihu ben Tohu ben Suf Ephrati velo shetei nashim shem achat chana v'shem hashenit penina vayehi lifnina yiladim uchana ein yiladim v'Allah Ahishahu hahu me'iroho miyamima lehishachavo filizboach ladonai tzivaot bishiloho v'sham shnei v'nei Eli chofni ufin Chas Kohanim Ladonai Vayehi Hayom Vayizbach Elkanah V'natan Lifnina Ishto Ulecha Baneha Uvnoteha Manot Ulchana Yitain mana achat apayim ki et chana ahev v'Adonai sagar rachma v'chi asata tzarata gam kas ba'avur hid imar Ki sagar Adonai ba'ad rachma v'chein ya'aseh shana v'shana midei alotah b'veit Adonai kein tachsena v'tivke v'lo tochal v'yomer la Elkana isha Chana lame tivki velame lo tochli velama yera livavek halo anochi tov la me asa banim vata'akam chana acharei achla v'shilo v'acharei shato ve'eli hakohen yoshev al hakisei amezuzat heichal Adonai v'hi marat nafesh vatitpalel al Adonai uvachotiv kef vatidor neder vatomar Adonai sivaot imrao tireh va'aniyam techa uzchartani v'lo tishkach et amatecha v'natata la'amatcha zera anashim unitativ l'Adonai kol yemei chayav umora lo ya'ale al rosho v'haya ki hir b'tah lehitpalel lifnei Adonai ve'eli shomer et piha v'chana hi mizaberet alibaha rak sifateh v'kola lo yishameya vayachshaveha eli lisikora
So I'll say Yasher Koach to Elaine, with many thanks for her shepherding of students for many decades who are kids and now are adults in this very same room. And also to note that Elaine is actually volunteering her time to do B'nai Mitzvah tutoring as well. She called me up and said, Rabbi Matt, I want to go and do something. And I said, I can find the perfect thing for you, and you are doing a wonderful, wonderful job with your students, with our students. Thank you so much. The closing blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol halomim, sadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'yotzeh, ha'medaber umkayem, shekol derevarav, emet batzedek, al ha'torah, ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al hanvi'im, ve'al yom hazikaron hazeh, Shanatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu lechavot utifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umrahim otach yitbarach shimchai b'fiu kol hai tamid le'olam va'ed udvircha emet v'kayim la'ad baruch atah Adonai melech al kol haaretz Mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
And Yasher Koach to you, Alan, for a beautiful chanting of the Haftarah blessings. Once again, it's my pleasure to call our Baltikia, Larry Lieberman, to sound the shofar. You'll find the calls for the shofar on page 268. I invite all of us to rise to hear the beautiful sounds of the ram's horn. Tekiah, Shivarim Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shivarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah. Yasher Koach, to you again. Feel free to be seated. Today the world is born anew. Hayom Harat Olam. This day the whole creation stands before you, God, to be judged. As we are your children, love us in the way of mothers and fathers. As we are yours in service, guide us by the light of your justice, grace, and holiness.
Reshet Sivatenu Ye'erav lefanecha Rav Nisa Rav Nisa Mehevinu ma'azin Ma'abeit makshiv L'kol Tekiyatenu Utabel berachamim Berachamim uvratzon Seder Zikronotenu.
Let the wishes of our lips, our heart's desire, be pleasing before you, God Most High. You are knowing and attentive, watchful and aware when we call out Tekiah. Lovingly, favorably receive our prayers of remembrance, of Zichronot. And we'll have an extended opportunity now for reflection as we listen to the beautiful music, Ki Elecha. my pleasure now to call forward to open the Aron Kodesh, to open the Ark, Sherry and Barry Sadler. You'll find the words of Eitz Chaim, the Torah is a tree of life, on page 277. Feel free to rise. Teaching I've given you, my Torah, do not forsake it. A tree of life to those who hold it fast, all who embrace it know happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Take us back, Adonai, let us come back to you. Renew in our time the days of old. Now we have a special treat because in addition to calling forward our Baal Tekiyah, Larry Lieberman, for our final set of shofar calls, if anyone is here from our shofar orchestra, those are the religious school kids. Let's see if anyone here. They're definitely going to be here, I know, for the youth and family service at 2 o'clock. Larry, it's all up to you. I have faith. You'll find the shofar calls on page 284. Baruch atah Adonai shomea kol truat amo Yisrael barachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people Israel. Let's rise to hear our final set of shofar calls. Tekiyah, Shivarim Truah, Tekiyah, Tekiyah, Shivarim, Tekiyah, Tekiyah, Truah, Tekiyah Gedolah, Yashikoah. Well done, well done. Feel free to be seated. Today the world is born anew, Hayom Harat Olam. This day the whole of creation stands before you to be judged. As we are your children, love us in the way of mothers and fathers. As we are yours in service, guide us by the light of your justice, grace, and holiness.
Reshet Sifatenu Ye'erav Lefanecha Erav Nisa Rav Nisa
wishes of our lips, our heart's desire, be pleasing before you, God Most High. You are knowing and attentive, watchful and aware when we call out to Kiyah. Lovingly, favorably, receive our prayers of shofarot. Twice a year, before Rosh Hashanah and Passover, there's a special ritual that takes place in the old city of Jerusalem. About a dozen or so workers walk up to the kotel, the Hebrew word for the western wall, each of them holding a long wooden stick about this big. Then they go to work. They move their stick up and down between the large Herodian stones, and as they do so, hundreds of handwritten prayers fall silently to the ground. Later on, they reach up even higher, pushing or perhaps pulling more of these prayers out of the crevices of the 2,000-year-old wall. Here's what it looks like in action. This is a sacred task, and the workers know it, to the extent that they immerse their bodies in the waters of a mikvah or ritual bath to spiritually prepare. All in all, about 100 large shopping bags are filled with tens of thousands of handwritten and sometimes typed prayers. Then they're taken over to the Mount of Olives, the oldest Jewish cemetery in the world, and they're buried without a single person reading them. I first heard about this ritual during my first year in rabbinical school at Hebrew Union College. Its Jerusalem campus is about a 15-minute walk to the old city. I was really intrigued about the ritual, so I made sure to check it out in person. The way I saw it, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see what happens to these prayers. Of course, while this sacred house cleaning is underway, worshipers and visitors from all over the world are visiting and praying at the Western Wall, but the workers just dance around them, going from one stone to the other. I stayed for about a half an hour. Then I went home, walking through the Arab Quarter to get one of my favorite snacks, fresh sesame bread with za'atar, which is a really great spice. The late Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel once said Jerusalem is an echo of eternity. And for millions of Jews and those practicing other faiths, the Western Wall is the center of it all. Some years, there are 5 million plus visitors to this open-air synagogue, all joined by one common thread that connects everyone in this space, a prayer from the heart. Most notes, they're handwritten and then placed in the wall, yet thousands of them are literally addressed to God, and they somehow make their way to Jerusalem. Others send in their prayers online. They're then printed by the Western Wall Heritage Foundation and then hand-placed in the cracks between the stones. One way or another, the world's prayers find their way to the Western Wall, which I call, and others do, God's mailbox. Twice a year, and especially in the weeks leading up to Rosh Hashanah, I think about God's mailbox. And I ask myself, what should I pray for this year? Usually, I'll begin with prayers for my family, for health, wisdom, success. Then I'll turn to the needs of the community, here at Ahavat Shalom and then beyond. Finally, I always include prayers for Shalom, peace for Israel and the world. Years ago, I told my kids about this ritual, and I asked them the question, what prayers do you want to put in God's mailbox? Well, they had a lot of good ideas, and kids always have great ideas, but 3 answers in particular took the cake: hope, love, and peace. Now more than ever, we should pray for hope. At times, the enormity of what seems broken in the world can be demoralizing. We face so many challenges all at once. There's the ongoing threat of the pandemic, yet it seems that annual boosters like the flu shot should keep life-threatening symptoms at bay. So there's hope on that front. Without a doubt, the world is experiencing the ravages of climate change. And while it may just seem a degree or two hotter here in Florida in the summer, there's unprecedented heat, wildfires, and flooding, as well as drought in other places, such as Yellowstone National Park and Death Valley National Park. Of course, the effects of climate change go well beyond our country's shores. And at times, and especially with the tropical storm and hurricane coming in, it seems to evoke the words of the Unatana Tohef prayer that we read earlier, bringing new meaning to the phrase, who by fire and who by water. Thankfully, U.S. states, as well as multinational organizations, are leading the way in terms of mitigating the effects of climate change. From California, which made a commitment to selling only electric vehicles by 2035, to one of my favorite new sports, but it's an old sport, Formula One, a global franchise that's aiming for what they call net carbon zero by 2030. So too, the Paris Climate Accord has been signed by 192 countries, including the European Union, setting out a framework to limit global warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius. A daunting task, to be sure, but there's reason to be hopeful if substantive changes are made in the near and long term. Here too, looking out from the bema, I am very heartened to see so many of you gathered in our sanctuary, especially in comparison to the last 2 high holiday seasons. And this should give us all a sense of hope. And it speaks to one of the recurring themes of the season, return again, which is part of our annual call for teshuvah, a word that means repentance or returning to our best selves. The Hebrew word for hope is tikvah. Some people believe it comes from the word mikvah, the ritual bath the prayer sweepers use before they engage in their sacred task. A mikvah is also used for conversions, before holidays and weddings, and on a monthly basis by Orthodox women. The idea is that hope is a precious resource, like water. Others believe that the word tikvah, or hope, is based on the scarlet thread Rahab and her family used when the Israelites conquered the city of Jericho long ago. In this case, hope is the thread that connects us from one generation to the next. In life, it's good to be optimistic, but it takes real courage and faith to hope, and it's something that we can choose to embrace. We should also pray for love. Sometimes it seems there's much more hate in the world than love, and it's certainly dividing our country. Consider the rising number of anti-Semitic incidents in recent history, a 34% increase in the U.S. this past year. And it's happening here in Florida too, led by disgraceful groups such as the Goyim Defense League, among others. Sadly, the rise in anti-Semitism mirrors an upward trend in hate crimes against other minority groups, bringing intolerance to the forefront. A significant number of these hate crimes actually occur on college and university campuses. Jewish students in particular are facing more prejudice and blatant anti-Israel sentiment from fellow students as well as professors. Hate, of course, is the opposite of love. Hate diminishes students and minorities because of their beliefs, and it interferes with the sense of belonging and respectful exchange of ideas that most students look for in higher education. Some colleges and universities have been taking an honest look at how bias affects the learning environment and how it plays out on campus. But much more work needs to be done. As with any process of change, this will necessitate a consistent pattern of action, one that fosters a welcoming community, remains inclusive, and supports diversity of beliefs. Love, on the other hand, grows out of the biblical teaching that everyone, regardless of ethnicity, religion, or culture, is created B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image. Introduced in the book of Genesis, it's one of the most profound truths in all of sacred literature. All of the great virtues that matter and animate our lives, justice, fairness, compassion, empathy, equality, should be based on the premise of love. As a parent, I'm most inspired when I see my kids be loving and kind to each other, it does happen sometimes, and to friends. I feel the same way when I see our students in our religious school treating each other with kindness and respect. Our teachers and madrahim, teaching assistants, are also wonderful role models who share their love of Judaism and deserve the highest praise. As a rabbi, I'm most hopeful when I see people open their hearts, volunteering in sisterhood, in brotherhood, on our membership committee, our social action committee, and many others, in meetings, social events, and especially during the high holidays and other holidays, our congregants share their passion, their time, their resources, and their talents with kids, teens, and adults alike. And while the first 2 years of the pandemic made it quite challenging to gather, especially in person, to socialize with friends, to visit loved ones who are feeling unwell or lonely, things have definitely been moving in the right direction. In particular, in the past few months, I've enjoyed a number of opportunities to spend time with congregants in their homes, at restaurants, or local coffee shops. I always love coffee. This is so important because as good as technology is in terms of bringing people together, sometimes there's no substitute for a face-to-face interaction. Please know that I treasure these moments of connection. They come from the heart and from a place of love. It makes clear that this congregation lives up to its namesake, which includes a variation of the Hebrew word for love, ahava. And it also upholds the legacy of Rabbi Klein, how he created and nurtured a sense of love and affection and welcoming for over 30 years and continues to do so as our emeritus. The final prayer I'd like to place in God's mailbox is shalom, peace. In our lives, it's important to strike the right balance between paying attention to the world with all of its challenges and injustices, and at the same time cultivating a sense of peace within ourselves. Consider a stone that drops in tranquil waters. It creates a ripple effect. And so it is with us. When we feel more grounded, compassionate, or kind, we're more likely to be a better parent, a better spouse, child, grandparent, or friend. And while it doesn't always seem that our individual actions make a difference in the grand scheme of the world, it does. The psalmist declares, Bakei shalom v'radfehu. This means seek peace and pursue it. At first glance, the verse seems a bit repetitive, but our sages teach us there are no extra or superfluous words in our holy text. So there has to be a difference between seeking peace and pursuing peace. One commentary from our tradition offers an explanation. It says, great is shalom, or peace. All of the other mitzvot or sacred obligations in the Torah begin with, if you happen upon this particular situation and it calls for a mitzvah, then do it. But if you don't fall upon that exact situation, you're not bound to do it. But not so in the case of peace, for it's written, seek peace and pursue it, which means seek peace in the place where you are and pursue peace in another place. Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt suggests a similar approach, saying we must be proactive and cultivate peace, precisely in the places, the hearts, the minds, the souls, which aren't peaceful. And when we do this work, we can hope that we awaken God to do the same. 2 years ago, on the south lawn of the White House, a largely Jewish audience gathered to watch this process of peace unfold. They were there to celebrate the signing of the Abraham Accords. Flanked by the President of the United States and the foreign ministers of the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, the Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, former Prime Minister, spoke about how war had marked his life. He recalled how his brother, Yoni, fell during Operation Entebbe, a successful hostage rescue mission that took place in Uganda in 1976. He then remarked that his parents never really stopped mourning for their eldest son. Then he shared that as a soldier in the Israeli Defense Forces, another soldier died in his arms. In Israel, the reality of conflict and maintaining security touches every citizen's life. Then he invoked King David's prayer, shared thousands of years ago in the Psalms. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. May God give strength to the people, and may God bless the people with peace. This reference, also found in our liturgy, captured a turning point in Israeli diplomacy, which no longer holds that there needs to be a peace agreement with the Palestinians in order to normalize relations with other Arab countries. 10 years ago, I bet that no one could have imagined that Israelis would be able to visit and do business in the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, or Saudi Arabia. Now there are direct flights from Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv all the way to those places. To my mind, this is an excellent example of Israel seeking and pursuing peace. The signing of the Abraham Accords is also a watershed moment in Jewish history, as well as Israeli and American diplomacy. It provides an uplifting take on one of the most heart-wrenching scenes found in the Torah, a story that's read in many synagogues this very day, when Abraham had to say goodbye to his eldest son Ishmael forever, and where an angel saves Ishmael and his mother Hagar by providing a gourd filled with water in the desert. The Abraham Accords tell us that we still live in a world of wonder. We just need to open our eyes and see these miracles. Twice a year, before Rosh Hashanah and before Passover, the prayers of the world find their way to Jerusalem, and more specifically to the Western Wall, God's mailbox. They're collected by a select group of holy sweepers, then buried in the Mount of Olives without ever being read. If you visited the Kotel or Western Wall, what prayer would you like to place in the crevices between the stones? I'll invite you to think about this for the rest of the service, and if you're interested, immediately following the service in the sanctuary lobby, you'll find a table with some paper and pens and a little holder with a slot that says God's mailbox. Write down a prayer or two and place it in that container, whether it's a prayer for yourself, your family, our community, or for the world, as long as it's a prayer from your heart. I will mail them to Jerusalem, and the prayers will be hand-placed in the crevices between the 2,000-year-old stones. Every day and every year, God's mailbox is open. I truly believe that the Holy One listens to our prayers of hope, tikva, our prayers of ahava, love, and our prayers of peace, shalom. Shana Tova. We're going to continue our service on page 286, the words of Elenu, the Adoration. Pleasure to call Eve and Warren Goldstein to open the ark.
Aleinu l'shabech la'adon hakol, la'tigedula le'otzeh bereshit, shelo asanu gilyei haratzot, ve'lo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam kelkeinu kahem, ve'gor aleinu ge'ro hamonam, ve'anaknu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, livnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
You'll find a beautiful poem on page 291, written by Hannah Senesh. There are stars up above so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. So it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. In the period of Shloshim, families in the first 30 days of mourning, we remember with love Eddie Deerfield, member of our congregation, and John Solar, friend of Ed Marks. We also mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of loved ones during this time in seasons past, as we remember Alan Allman, Carrie Bierhoff, Florence Daines, Anna Finkel, Gussie Gendler, Betty Keshin, Michael Kulik, Irma Lieberman, David Manis, Seymour Mines, Melba Natus, Sarah Perlman, Gertrude Roller, Francis Shapiro, Diane Simon, Sarah Slavny, Saul Stone, and Mary Zeisler. Are there any other names to add for yahrzeit at this time? Thank you. We say Zichronam Livracha, may the memory of all of these good people be a lasting blessing in their loved one's life as we rise to recite the words of Mourner's Kaddish, words of praise found on 292 together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrah kiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayekon u'vyomekon u'v'chayed kol beit Yisrael, v'agalau b'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivarach le'alam u'lamei al-mayah, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birkata v'shirata, tushbekata v'nechemata, ta'amiran v'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'ramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, and the world, to which we say, amen.
V'miru, 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 amen. V'miru, 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 amen.
Be seated. Pleasure to call forward at this time two leaders of our youth group, Simone Gladstone and Zach Goldman, to share a few words.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I'd like to ask just for a moment of your time to talk about our congregation's youth group, run by myself, Zachary Goldman, and these wonderful people, Simone Gladstone right here, and Avi Nardia, wherever he is, right over there. Simone and I, together, are the presidents of our temple's youth group. Together, under Avi's guidance, that's what we do. Simone is in charge of the Katan Tanim, which is the elementary-aged 3rd through 5th grade kids, which she'll talk to you about in a second, while I focus on my area of expertise, the senior youth group, which is composed of middle and high schoolers. But first, a little bit about me. I've been involved with the youth group for 6 years now. As a high school senior, I worked my way through the ranks, starting as a member at large, then graduating to VP of programming, and finally earning the right to run for my current position as president. Being involved with a singular group for 6 years can teach a person a lot, and I'm happy to vouch for that. I've grown up through this community and have been taught how to lead because of the opportunities in this youth group. I've spoken at countless services and events like this, planned 30-plus successful get-togethers, and had to organize way too many board meetings. To me, this group is much more than a fun after-Sunday school activity. It's a learning community for social excellence. And while this is all true, we do happen to put on some pretty excellent events. Recently, we had our senior youth group kickoff grill out in our newly renovated lounge right over there. We also got to get involved in the Shofar Factory event sponsored by the Sisterhood. Additionally, I'd like to take this opportunity to let all the families here know about our upcoming events on October 2nd and November 13th. Next Sunday, October 2nd at 9:30 a.m., we're hosting a reverse tashlich, which is a beach cleanup, at the Dunedin Causeway. This is a great way to give back to the community as well as earn some Bright Futures service hours for those of you who are looking for that incentive. On November 13th at 1 p.m. after Sunday school, we're hosting a bowling day at Maple Lanes. I should add that both of these events are open to the pair of youth groups, the Katan Tanim and Senior. Simone and I look forward to seeing everyone there and at future events. Thank you for listening. Have a happy New Year.
Hi everybody, I'm Simone Gladstone, a senior in high school and the president of the Kantantanim Youth Group. I've also been a part of this youth group for 8 years now and part of the board for 6. And I started as a member at large, eventually a VP of communication, and now a co-president with Zach. Being a part of this youth group has built up my relationship with my fellow classmates across grade levels. And it allowed an outlet where I could become more engaged with my Jewish identity while learning Jewish values at fun events in the youth lounge. And I hope to get this started again soon. So I'm proud to say that Kantantanim Youth Group is starting up again after a long break because of COVID. Any children between 3rd and 5th grade can join by filling out some of the paperwork on the youth group bulletin board. Our first kickoff event will be October 23rd, right after Sunday school, going to 2 p.m. in the new youth lounge. I know it's free for children and parents to come and join to learn about this junior youth group. This year we'll have a lot of food, fun, and games and crafts happening each month. So all the dates are known and they're on the bulletin board as well. So you can check it out and on the junior side to see any updates. Most of the events will be held in the youth lounge, which is on the far side of the outside classrooms, and there will be a few adjoint events like Zach talked about, like the bowling event. On behalf of the youth group board, we cannot wait to have a sweet new year with lots of fun and crafts. Shana Tova, everyone.
We are blessed to have wonderful youth leaders in our congregation, and here is young at heart, but an adult member who takes pride in all of his volunteer service as our president. He's going to share a message as well as some announcements.
Don't leave us yet. For those of you who weren't with us last evening, I'm very, very pleased to announce that Rabbi Matt will be with us for an additional 5 years. He has signed his new contract, and he is part of us for the long haul. We're expecting, well, there will be bookmarks passed out, and I hope that you will take one, read it, take it home. These bookmarks are part of the Endowment Committee's reminder that a few years ago we launched the Gary Klein Lador Badur Endowment, a long-range fundraising effort. I could take this off, couldn't I? There's nobody up here to breathe on. A long-range fundraising effort that will cost you absolutely nothing now. The whole idea of this is that we want ourselves to make a commitment that we pay off after our death. The amount, you decide that. Will it be paid in cash from your estate or by designating Temple Ahavat Shalom as beneficiary of a life insurance policy? You decide. Can you pay it now? Yeah, you decide. Can you simply donate stock, appreciated stock, or some other kind of property? Yes, you decide. In coming weeks, you're going to be getting a call from a member of the Endowment Committee. Please take that call and sit down and talk with them. The purpose of this, we're not asking anything but your commitment now that at some point in the future, and for most of it, it's going to be after death, you'll have things arranged so that your temple will receive something. Why is this a great question? The reason that we started this endowment on the 40th anniversary was to guarantee the Temple Ahavat Shalom has income, dividends, and interest only from this fund to help carry on its mission for many, many years in the future. That's an important point. Only income is going to be spent. The principle will be held intact. It won't be used to balance the budget. It won't be used for construction, except on a vote of the entire congregation. Please help guarantee that Judaism and Temple Ahavat Shalom are well supported in the future with your commitment to the Gary Klein Endowment Fund. Thank you so much. Announcements. Obviously, we want to thank Rabbi Matt, Allison, Michelle, and Joy for the service and the marvelous music, the just extraordinary music, along with the technical crew, Bruce Lowett and Saul Tave and Jeff Tilson, who's been handling the audio, the sound transmission. Our family and youth service begins at 2 o'clock this afternoon here in the sanctuary. This is a new way of doing things so that the entire family can pray together. On Rosh Hashanah Day 2, the morning service will start at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Our Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of Return, the service will be Friday at 7:30 p.m., the regular time for Shabbat services. On Sunday, October 2nd, our Tashlik service and Repair the Sea renewal, the beach cleanup, will start at 9:30 in the morning. We're asking people to meet here at Temple, and we'll go to the site on the causeway together. It's a wonderful way of using the high holy days to help the world. Thank you. Shana Tova.
We'll now turn to the words of our Kiddush and Motzi. You'll find the prayers right on the screen or on page 300 in your prayer books. Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri agafen. L'chaim, to life. Motzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Devon. Just one final thank you before our benediction, which conveniently enough is also found on page 300. Shout out and many thanks to all of our temple office and maintenance staff, especially to Alex Perez and his son Freddie, for all that they've done to have all of us here comfortable in the sanctuary. It really is a blessing, and we thank you so much. Let's rise for our closing benediction. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetchadesh aleinu shana tova umituka, our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. And one final blast of the shofar from Larry Lieberman. This one is yet another Tekiah Gedolah. Yasher Koach. Tova tekatevu, Lishana tova tekatevu, tikatemu, And a prayer for our health and well-being, especially with the storm coming. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al shmirat hanefesh, for the mitzvah and sacred obligation to protect life. Shana tova, one and all.